Hello, Akira here, and welcome back to the channel. With the festive season upon us, there have recently been various videos focused on and runs conducted involving the Christmas Cavs, which makes sense. What in Fire Emblem links to Christmas more obviously than the archetype that has it in the name? I was originally considering making one such video myself. Still, especially given that my good friend Danny Doyle told me some time ago that they were already planning on making one, which has since been released, I figured I should make one on a different topic. So, fittingly, since it's Christmas Eve, today's video will be a short one on another type of Cav, the Christmas-adjacent Cav. Obviously, the terms Cav and Cavalier are going to get thrown around a lot, so if you want an exercise for the reader/watcher/listener for the easy comment, try counting the number of times either of those get said in the script. To save you any backtracking, so far I've said it 5 times. I guess another easy comment idea is to guess how many times I'll say it in the video as well. First of all, what do I mean by a Christmas-adjacent Cav, and who would count? Simply put, a unit that starts as a Cavalier that isn't a Christmas Cav. This naturally requires a definition of the term Christmas Cav, which I consider to be a unit that starts as an unpromoted Cavalier who is part of a red-green colour pairing with another unpromoted Cav. These pairings include, but are not limited to, Cain and Abel from FEs 1 and 11, Alec and Nisha from FE4, yes that is the correct pronunciation, Alan and Lance from FE6, and Oscar and Kieran in FE9. As some features, they typically, but don't always, have the same join time, with Oscar and Kieran being an example of a case where they don't. Additionally, red Cavs have normally been the strength ones, while the green ones have been the speed ones, but the difference in both base and growth between the two can be pretty minor, and there have once again been exceptions to this, like Sane and Kyle being the strength Cavs, despite being the green ones in FE7 and FE8 respectively. It's worth noting that since I've stipulated that they have to start as Cavs, my definition does not include units of other class types who have a red-green colour scheming, like Lucas and Forsyth from Echoes, Kaze and Saizo from Fates, and Fram and Clan from Engage. This video is meant to be focusing on the Cav aspect, after all. But yeah, basically the way I think of a Christmas-adjacent Cav is that it's a unit that starts as an unpromoted Cav in a game with a pair of explicit Christmas Cavs who isn't part of the red-green colour theme. The requirement for there to be Christmas Cavs in the game means that a unit like Alfred or Amber from Engage wouldn't count, for instance. So, some examples of Christmas-adjacent Cavs are as follows: Hardin, Roche and Violent from FEs 1, Free Book 1 and 11, Cecile from FEs Free Book 2 and 12, Lex, Finn and Beowulf from FE4, Lowen from FE7, Franz from FE8, and Astrid from FE9. I don't consider the weapon types available to said units to be an important distinction, hence the inclusion of, for example, the single weapon type Cavs of FE4 of Lex, Finn and Beowulf, even though Alec and Nisha are able to use both swords and lances. From the outset, I would like to make clear that I'm not proposing this as an archetype. Already it's dependent on the definition of Christmas Cav, so there's really no point. Still, I'll be referring to such units as Christmas-adjacent Cavs in this video for the sake of convenience. So, next. What makes a Christmas-adjacent Cav a comparatively good unit? Since they are, well, Cavs, this is actually pretty close to the question of what makes a Cav generally a good unit. The answer, the flexibility that extra movement affords you, is really helpful. Especially if the game has Canto and /or rescue drop utility, there's even more that a Cav can do to help positioning for themselves and /or other units. While flight is usually considered to be better than Cav movement due to the power of being able to move over most terrain freely, this isn't even a given. In FE4, roads giving grounded units extra move, i.e. foot units and cavalry, but not flyers, means that cavalry can often move further than them. The end result of both this mechanic and the fact that there are many more Cavs, including the infamously busted Sigurd and his son Seliph, is that cavalry rules genealogy rather than flyers. Still, as mentioned earlier, this isn't actually a question about the Christmas-adjacent Cav itself. Instead, it is one about cavalry as a whole. And I mean, cavalry is really valuable, especially in games with rescue or Canto utility, so it's not the case that just because a Cav isn't the quote-unquote best Cavalier, that they should be benched in favour of a worse unit of a different class. That being said, the more interesting question to me is the following. What makes a Christmas-adjacent Cav a good unit compared to the Christmas Cavs proper of their respective game? The word Cav gets said a lot in this sentence, So a bit of counting help for anyone trying to keep track. The fact that Christmas Cavs and Christmas-adjacent Cavs all obviously start as, well, Cavs, means that Cav movement and utility is not an advantage for either type of Cav compared to the other. As a result, the key differentiator is some other form of unique utility. The most obvious example of unique utility is cases where the Christmas-adjacent Cav joins earlier than the Christmas Cavs themselves. Being able to contribute early can be a great boon for comparative unit viability, especially since, well, there often aren't better early experience investment targets, so it's very possible to have them snowball before the Christmas Cavs proper show up. This is what makes Lowen such a high tier unit in no Lin mode FE7, despite being, in the words of my friend Eat Your Greens, the most unglamorous good unit, in a highly recommended unit introspection video on him. It's worth noting though that the snowball training arc before the appearance of the red/green duo may not be real. Franz from the Sacred Stones is a good example of this. Despite having the very early join time of chapter 1 right after the prologue, and so having 7 or so maps without Kyle and his brother present, there are 2 issues. The first issue is that the early Pegasus joins the start of chapter 2. As I said before, Flyer is a better movement type than Clav most of the time, and FE8 is indeed part of this most of the time. As that very chapter's tutorial teaches you, Vanessa is able to contribute greatly through such actions as air ferrying Zeph around, who is your carry for most of the game. Even beyond the rescue drop utility though, Combat Vanessa is real. On turn optimized Erica route especially, she is considered to be the prime experience target, since it's very helpful to have a promoted flyer for chapter 9A, Distant Blade, and Cormag joins later in Erica route than he does in Ephraim route. Given that Arthur is also considered to be a good experience target for his magic and C staves upon promotion to Bishop, and that training 3 units is more of an ask than 2, it can be difficult for Franz to get kills and so gain levels. This is not least because Seth is amazingly bad at the Jagun quote-unquote job of setting up kills for other units, and many of your early FE8 units really suck at getting easy 1 rounds before they've snowballed. So given that Franz and Vanessa may have to team up for a kill anyway, she's a valuable training project, and she would also take more damage if she doesn't take the killing blow. It's very reasonable to just give any kills to her. The second issue is that even though Franz is around for 7 chapters where Kyle and Ford are not, Kyle and Ford have the most convenient training map for them in the form of Chapter 5X, Unbroken Heart. Orson leaves anyway, and there are tons of soldiers on the map, which means that it's really easy to get one of Kyle or Ford to promotion level in this chapter for your second paladin needs, especially since they only need to gain 5 or 4 levels in order to do so, respectively. The combined outcome of these factors means that while Franz has historically been ranked incredibly highly in FE8's tier lists, recently there has been a shift where the comparative order has changed, such that Kyle is first, Ford is second, and Franz is third of them. Still, Franz does get given some credit for existing at a time where the Christmas Cavs do not. So, what helps a Christmas-adjacent Cav be good compared to the Christmas Cavs themselves, or at least useful if they join at the same time or after the latter? As alluded to earlier, it helps if they can join and be adequately leveled to the Christmas Cavs, if not higher level. For example, in FE3 Book 1, Holden joins at level 6 in Chapter 4, compared to the Christmas Cavs at level 1, meaning it's very reasonable, if not outright likely, for him to be closer to promotion level than they would be without concerted experience investment. It also helps that his bases are all better or equal to theirs in all areas, meaning that unless Kane or Abel level well, he may still just be better than them. Secondly, while this is true of Harden in FE3 and FE1, since weapon level for using high tier weapons is a stat there, it's worth highlighting more explicitly that weapon ranks or good weapon access can be another advantage. So while FE6 Noah is considered worse than the Binding Blades Christmas Cavs in the form of Alan and Lance, him starting with C swords compared to their E swords, and thus being able to use high accuracy swords like the Armor Slayer and Killing Edge at base, is something in his favour. Some other examples of good weapon access are Lex with the Brave Axe and Midir with the Killer Bow, both from FE4 Gen 1. Despite most axes being utterly terrible in FE4, the Brave Axe means that Lex can hit hard twice, compared to Nisha hitting hard generally once, or Alex generally hitting weaker twice. with a non-contested resource, as he is the only unit in Gen 1 capable of using axes in their starting class. And then despite being a bow and thus being 2 range locked, the killer bow, which does not belong to Jamka, just has great accuracy, might, and low weight in addition to critical. Even if they join much later than your Christmas Cavs do and also join at a low level though, it is still possible to get the Christmas-adjacent Cav to meaningfully catch up to them. The prime example of this is Astrid in Path of Radiance with Paragon, which doubles her experience gain. This makes it easier to power level her compared to Oscar and Kieran, especially since it interacts with bonus experience in that game. While I do want to make a more dedicated video on the mechanic itself, the nature of bonus experience benefits both her and Marsha, a flyer, and also means that even Oscar doesn't have to be trained if you wanted to use him. As a result, though I do think Kieran is still better than her, I and some of my friends believe that Astrid is a better unit in Path of Radiance than Oscar, one of the 2 Christmas Cavs. All in all, it's pretty obvious how a Christmas-adjacent Cav can stand out compared to their red-green cousins. 1. Join before they do and get snowball status. 2. Join later and just be statted better in some form. 3. Have access to good weapons. Or 4. Be able to meaningfully catch up later down the line. But yeah, that's been a quick overview of the Christmas-adjacent Cav and how they can fare relative to any Christmas Cavs proper. Hopefully you enjoyed the exploration of a slightly different topic than what everyone seems to be on, but still festive. If you did, I'd really appreciate you letting me know in some form, such as liking the video or subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Then, if you've been counting, I've said the words Cav or Cavalier, add 2 to your counter, a grand total of 58 times. I did just say those words, so the 5 times I said cavalry don't count. So, if you got that right, good counting or guessing. I don't have a prize Lamau, so a PNG of the Bi-Sparkle and a sense of accomplishment knowing that you can count past 4 or have uncannily good instincts will have to do. If you have any thoughts, whether because of something I said or you think there's something I've neglected to mention, I'd love to know. You can do so in the comments section below or in the community Discord linked in the description below. I'll be celebrating and relaxing / maybe trying to work on videos more than 24 hours before they come out, Lamau. So this will be my last analytical video of 2023. To anyone who celebrates it, Happy Christmas and holiday season generally. Regardless of whether you're celebrating anything though, I hope you have a lovely time and see you again in the new year. Until 2024, have a good one.